buttons going, Crystal?
Now we are.
Okay. So get all these buttons. I'm getting ready to drop some nuggets.
Yeah.
So I don't look at calling leads and getting objections, because they're not really objections if you think about it in the eye of a person that's sitting, getting a phone call, getting ready to have a conversation that they didn't really want to have in the first place. So when we put ourselves in the shoes of the consumer, that phone's blowing up all day, they don't want to be taking phone calls, and then they're like, I know you're going to try and sell me something, I just really don't want to talk to you. So the real thing is life, because technology has completely jacked up our ability to convert at a high level like we used to be able to years ago. So it's just become much more difficult. So if you think of people of having real life stories, and Matt, I don't know how much you've seen my trainings, but this is one of my favorite things I love to do with people, just to open up their perspective. When was the last time you moved?
A few months ago.
And when you moved a few months ago, how long was it from the time you started about thinking about making the move to the time you actually moved?
Yeah, I don't know. My situation is a little bit different. Like I moved for work and then kind of moved back right away. So I wasn't anticipating moving, but yeah, I get what you're saying though.
Okay, so you were, all right, so there's your story, right? And we get those stories because we'll get people, right? You may have been online looking and they're like, I'm really not anticipating a move. I really don't want to move. I was just really curious. But in the meanwhile, you know, there might be something that's going to fester up with your work that's going to make you move, because you heard word about somebody talking at work that we might be moving. So you get online real quick to just check it out. But I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I don't want to really have that conversation, because then I don't want it to really come real. So when you were in that phase in the very beginning, would you just tell me what was the first thought or what was the first happening that you realized you were going to be moving?
It's funny because my old boss is actually on this call. So he terminated me. I lost my job in Quebec. I was actually living in Montreal, and then I knew where I was going because my hometown was Chatham. I kind of already had a plan to go back there. I actually already had real estate that way, so I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just going back to my hometown.
So he did you a favor.
Yeah, he brought me home, and now look at me now, AgentLocator, just trying to convert some leads here.
Awesome. But in the reality, right? If I were to have had a conversation with you then, what would that conversation have looked like, Matt?
If you were like my agent?
If you were a lead in my dashboard, yeah, and I called you because you were browsing properties, yeah, that first week.
Hey, like, yeah, I'm perhaps moving back to my hometown, not sure yet, just kind of browsing.
God, my leads suck. You were one of them sucky leads. But guess what? You still moved. So they're not objections. They're stories of people's real life that they really don't want to talk about. But our job is to get into the nitty gritty and just say, how can I help you with the process? So you might not be moving, you might be moving. Matt, what is the best thing that I could be doing for you right now?
Just continuing to send me those searches.
And what? And if somebody actually picked up the phone and cared enough to call you to say, hey, how's that move going? You'd be like, hey, now, right?
Yeah. And
that is the new game. That is the new game. And when we play with the perspective of, I just want to call this lead and see what their story is. Because nobody, before you knew you were moving, nobody was going to make you move, right? Like there was no way you could make that process happen any differently. So whatever I said on the other end of the phone, oh my gosh, but I have off-market properties that I could show you. You'd be like, I don't really give a shit, because it doesn't pertain to me, because I don't know what I'm doing. So the more we get into their minds, the more we realize it's not really an objection, it's just their story. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful. My old boss is like, damn right, I did you a favor. Yeah, that's helpful, I guess. Like for us too, and not just myself. There's other agents that we're working with, Agent Locator. It's um, like the whole texting process. Like you send a text out, two texts. They like 99% of the time they never respond. And then you guys are saying like, okay, the best way to actually get that contact is by picking up the phone. And then just picking up the phone and kind of what is like. I know every pitch is a little bit different. We're kind of like, hey, what has worked for you guys in the past? What should we be doing, or what can we be doing better to actually like kind of nurture those leads, right?
Yep. And there's no best way. It's the way the lead's going to respond, right? So our job is to figure out what their form of communication is. And this is something that I have to get over right now. I've been courting a lady via text, never had a conversation with her. I called her and left her a voicemail. She's like, I'm going to swim meet. I'll listen to your voicemail tomorrow. I was like, that's an interesting response, right? So I texted her back the next day. I said, hey, just checking in. Did you listen to my voicemail yet? And she was asking me questions via text. This is her preferred communication. She doesn't want to talk to me. And that's foreign to me. I do not want to do business via text because I don't believe that you're going to convert into anything. But that's my own limiting belief, because there is an agent in Michigan that he's still back. Oh my gosh, I met him in 2013. He sent me a message the other day. He said, I still haven't talked to anybody on the phone. I still do all my business via texting. And I'm like, okay, Paul, I'm just thinking of Paul. I can text this. And she's $1 million. And now I'm in like a $400,000 market. And she's $1 million lead. So we want to respect their preferred communication, but we don't know until they respond. So having the 3 forms of communication, and then however they respond, respecting that, because calling is not the answer. It's really not, because people are not answering the phone like they used to 5, 6, 7 years ago. So we need the 3 forms of communication to really make that happen. So what it comes down to is the consistency of that persistence. Because finally they're gonna be like, this joker ain't gonna leave me alone until I freaking respond. Because it's just gonna be constant, or they're gonna block you. And then that's just when you change your number and just do it differently.
I'm a stalker.
Yeah. Well, I've told people like once we get a little bit friendly, I'm like, do you know how much money you cost me? I pay per lead. I am not going to give up on you. I already own you. You should have got a 4-digit code on your phone. If you can let me in, please. I'm knocking.
7822.
So what is a win for you today? What would you like to see happen? I'm seeing a bunch of zeros on the calls in here. I'm seeing they're not even setting the pipeline. I'm like, oh, I'm having anxiety.
There's a lot at the top of the list. There's a lot, because I was actually just running like a campaign on my Facebook. So it was like the home worth. I did that. So that's why those are all leads. Like I know them all, and like they all looking for property values. Those just all came in last night. But yeah, you probably do see a lot of other zeros as well. But I think just I want to see you prove the model, that you just have some good conversations with a couple of them that I haven't reached out to. I think that was kind of like what myself and some others were hoping to see.
All right, well, let's get to it. So I'm gonna do phone. So I'm setting up my typical, like when I go in and I'm like, all right, I got to make something happen. What's my highest priority? The highest priority leads are the active leads, in my opinion, with good phone numbers, or we don't know if they have a good phone number or not, and they've been active within the last 30 days. So I'm just narrowing it down to new lead and try to contact. Now, I always ask this question, full disclosure. Is there anybody possibly in a new lead or try to contact stage that you may have spoken to?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But we'll find out.
Do that. I have 24 leads. Okay. Home buyer. Okay, perfect. So let me put the blur on. Blur. all fields except first name. Share my screen. Perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So let's see, registration. Let's shake it up a little bit. So they registered April 11th. Oh, and they registered 19 hours ago. Woo, I love those. What is your biggest situation that you get? Like what's the biggest excuse you get from people whenever you're calling them or talking to them?
I think the two most common are like already working with an agent and just browsing. We're not buying, we're just kind of browsing. We're just curious.
Oh, you just set up your Twilio. So you haven't even used Twilio yet.
Well, we use it to text, but I never used it to call. I use my cell phone.
Oh, okay. I love you. I say that.
You'll speed up your call process by at least 30 seconds a lead by using the dialer versus your cell phone.
Yes. And one of my agents is coming over and the dog is barking, so my apologies. She'll stop in a minute. So when our biggest excuse, hello?
Hello?
Hi, Anwar?
Yes?
This is Beverly. I am checking in. I saw that you were online looking at some homes. Oh gosh, in quite a few areas, Chatham, Windsor, Stony Point.
Yes, definitely I'm looking.
Okay. And
The point is, can I get it now or not? This is a different story. The answer is like, yes, if I have a plan to buy over there, then I will reach out to you again.
okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine. We just want to make sure that, you know, we meet your expectations. What can we be doing for you on our end? Because I'm sure you're browsing lots of properties and I just want to make sure that you remember who we are. Because I work with Matt. I work with Matt, so it's not me that you would be working with. But what can we be doing for you to help you in the process?
Okay. Sure.
What are you looking for as far as price range and bed and bathrooms?
My range is between 3 to 4 over there.
Okay.
Okay, not very fancy, to be honest.
Okay.
But I want to know, is there any new, I remember like a moon side, there is a new construction happening. So is there any further new construction is happening over there or not?
I can certainly ask Matt and I can have him get back to you and update you on what's happening with the market as far as new construction. Is that what you're looking for, is new construction?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the reason for the move, do you have a time frame that you want to be in a home?
Okay. Maybe late, like a third to fourth quarter of this year.
Okay.
Actually, I have some saving and I'm looking for some, what is called financing as well.
Okay.
From a specific area. So if I'm in a queue right now, if they're full with, then I'm ready to go.
Okay.
So this is a major roadblock for me at this point.
And the roadblock is the location with your financing?
No, finance.
The financing. Okay. And you have spoke to a lender?
I know. Yes. There is a specific lender. You're right.
Okay.
Not with that like conventional banking.
Okay. So in regards to the financing, you said is kind of the little hitch right now. Have you gotten a second opinion from a different mortgage broker?
No, actually, there is some restriction for my own house, so that's why I just go with some particular lender. There's a personal, private kind of lending. So.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll let Matt know we spoke, and if there's any new construction in the area, I'll have him reach out to you, okay?
Sure.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Woo, the language barrier. All right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I kept it going just to kind of prove a point, right? Like he was very closed off in the very beginning, but it's carrying that conversation and just getting more and more information out of them, because he was very short in the beginning and it didn't seem like he wanted to give up much. Like, I'll just call you when I find something. I'm like, no, you don't even know who the hell I am. You're not going to call me. So are we even in reality? Like, there were so many red flags in that conversation that I was like, okay, I'm like 300,000 to 400,000, new construction and financing's a hitch.
He's your A+ client right there.
Woo!
What are the home prices like in Chatham? Is that doable right now with what he's looking for, Matt, or is that something too far-fetched?
Not a new construction. Like if he was looking for, something a little bit dated, 400 is definitely sufficient. 300 is sufficient. So maybe crushing his dreams.
Yeah. And
Well,
sometimes they need educating, right? So
Yeah.
they need to understand what that actually looks like, because they have these dreams, but the dream is just, it's not even close to reality, right? So sometimes it's hard with this guy because there is a bit of a language barrier, but it is educating them on the market, right? That this isn't feasible right now based on what you're looking for. And if he's having a hard time, he's got to go through private lending, means he probably has, poor credit of some level, that he's having to go the non-conventional way.
This was a great segue into what we had started talking about in the beginning of this. Like, he has a story, right? And why did he shut down in the very beginning? I'll just call you if I find something. Because he knows he's not going to find anything.
Yeah.
He knows he already has a financial problem.
Yeah, I just thought can I get a receipt for that? Okay. Yep, that's good. Yep.
Sorry, you can mute that one. That's
yeah, no worries.
there you go.
I was like, what is going on?
I got him as talk to lead. I would probably put him, I don't even know what category I would put him in, because it's impossible. I would say can't get financing, or lender lost, can't get financing, or just low value lead. It could just be as simple as buyer lost, low value. What are your typical price ranges?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of what they set up. I'm seeing a lot of 400 to 600.
And is that your average sales price?
Around 400.
Okay. So I just marked it as low value so that we just put them somewhere. But hey, we're 1 for 1.
Well, yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see you continuously pry, right? I don't know. Yeah.
That takes practice though.
Pushy. I like it and I appreciate it.
Just keep asking questions. Don't let them in the conversation. It's you're trying to get what you need from the conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said the word pushy. Did it feel pushy at all?
In the fact that they were ready to hey, I'll call you when I need you, and then you just kept going,
Yeah, because you don't even know who I am. You ain't gonna call me.
No, agreed.
Right. And that's where I like to call bullshit, because people are like, well, I'll call you when I find something. I'm like, well, and I say, do you know who I am? And then, so how many agents have you said that to? How many websites are you in? 3, 4? It's no, you're not going to call me. So, and that's where I'm like, what can I do for you? And people are not used to that. So when we flip the script on them and we say, what can I do for you? Be okay with the awkward silence, because that's what you're going to get, because they don't even know. And this dude didn't know. He's like, well, if you can hand me over a $300,000 new construction, we should.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can go 2 for 2. And I don't pay attention if they're newer leads. People unsubscribe for reasons that we have no idea why. So I just let those go. Now, if they opt out of text, hello, Nancy.
Hi.
This is Beverly checking in. You were online looking at some homes in Chatham and just wondering if you have plans or what you might have been looking for.
I'm sorry, I had what?
You were online looking at some homes, real estate?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we already have what we were looking for.
You have a house, you have an agent, or what do you have?
Yes, yeah, everything.
Everything. All righty. Well, I don't want to step on toes. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Okay, yeah, bye.
Bye-bye. So going in, Matt, and asking, like, what do you have? What crossed your mind? What would you have said when she says, I have everything?
Yeah, I would want to know what she's trying to fluff you off, right? So like, what do you have? Like, she wasn't specific.
Yes. And I still don't know.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason, right, that I think she might be telling the truth is probably why she unsubscribed.
Okay. So you're still calling unsubscribe. See, I didn't touch anything after unsubscribed. I didn't know as far as like how it works with like privacy and stuff like that, because they're like technically unsubscribing. So are you still able to actually use the phone number legally? Like, I wasn't sure about that, but
yeah, because
they're unsubscribing from an email list.
okay.
Yeah.
And basically they've given you permission to call them by giving you their information. So usually they unsubscribe because they've already purchased something or because of this reason, right? I just wanted to go on. I was checking for my agent to see if I could find her properties to show me. I have had people literally tell me that. I'm like, okay, because your real estate agent doesn't have a website. I don't understand.
So is your real estate agent paying you or are you paying them? How's this working?
Yes, that's a great line. That's a great line. Hey, we're 2 for 2. We're not getting anywhere, but. And I will tell you, role play is, I think, what made me so aggressive on the phone, because when you do role plays, you don't have an expectation of the outcome, and you can just have fun with conversation and just say whatever wit comes to your mind because you're not losing anything, and it gets you comfortable engaging. And I'm like, I didn't have it in the first place, so I have nothing to lose. Like with that Nancy chick, I had nothing to lose. And then curious minds just want to know, because I've asked people sometimes like that, like they'll log in today and then I call them tomorrow and they're like, I already bought something. I'm like, you were just looking at properties online yesterday. That was fast. I'm like, well, I just wanted to make sure that I made the right choice or whatever,
Some people unsubscribe because there's too many listings and they're way out for making a purchase. So you can always scale those back in those scenarios.
Yeah, but the only time I wouldn't reach out is if they've unsubscribed from all communication. And I didn't even read that. Crystal, did they only unsubscribe from the property searches, or did they unsubscribe from all email?
Just all email. When they unsubscribe, they can't have they don't have the option of selecting what they're unsubscribing to. It's just they're either unsubscribing from email communication or not.
Okay, so you can't email them at all. So they can't just say, I want the home searches, but don't market to me.
Yeah, they can't.
And so what I do in that instance, Matt, is if I have a bad phone number and they've unsubscribed from everything, there's no way for me to reach them. So then you can junk them. Or if they've unsubscribed from text and you have like 20 calls into them and they've unsubscribed, they're not your highest and best use of time. Well, we come in out of the gate strong, and now
can't win them all.
I know it. But we're clipping through. Hey, we cleaned up a couple.
And eventually you get busy enough that you actually like the fact that people don't answer.
Yep. Or when it's like 5 minutes before you have to make a phone call for an appointment and you got like 5 leads left in the dialer, you're like, please don't answer, please don't answer. And that's when everybody answers.
Hello.
Sherry.
Hi.
Hello, this is Beverly. I'm doing a check-in. I see that you were online looking at some homes in Chatham.
I'm sorry. I'm just driving, so I can barely hear you.
Yeah, that's all right. You were online looking at homes in the Chatham area.
Yeah.
And just wondering, do you have plans? What are you looking for?
You know what? I have someone else in the car with me right now. I prefer not to have this conversation.
Okay.
With someone in the car. Can I touch base with you a little bit later this afternoon?
Absolutely. And if we don't hear from you, I'll have Matt give you a call. Okay, Sherry?
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was actually the first time I've ever heard that excuse.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever heard that.
But it was valid because she was on
Yeah.
speaker. Like you could tell it was on speaker.
Mm-hmm.
But they ain't never gonna call you back.
Yeah.
So I ended that with, I'll have Matt call you. Right? Because now I planted that seed, whether she heard me or not, she'll remember that I said that, okay? So I would just give her a call back this evening. So what I do with these is 3 strikes, you're out. I will keep her in my calendar task for 3 times. I'll try calling her later today. So it's 2:30. Are we in the same time zone?
Yep.
I don't know what time zone are you in?
So Eastern. So it's 2:30.
Oh yeah, it's 2:30.
Yeah, I would probably try her at like 5:30. And then maybe if you're really aggressive, try her again later in the evening and then try her maybe once or twice tomorrow. But then if not, I stop tasking myself and I move her right back to try to contact. Because like 3 strikes, you're out. I'm not going to keep chasing after you. But maybe on the last call with your cell phone because it's a different number. She was driving with someone in the car. That's like calling that's like calling Sherry and the guy answers the phone and say, hey, I was looking for Sherry. She's not here. Well, she was online looking at some homes. She was?
Mm-hmm.
When was she doing that? Where was she looking? How much price? Like,
Yeah.
oh God. We had a lady call back, seriously. She called my buyer agent back. You ruined my day. And she goes, what did I do? She goes, you left me a voicemail. My husband did not know I was looking at homes and we were supposed to go out to dinner tonight. Now he doesn't want to go out to dinner because he's mad at me.
Maybe mad at her.
I'm like, maybe, just maybe. You shouldn't have left your phone number.
I feel it's like more than just the fact that she left a message that he's angry.
Exactly.
Like there's more to this story.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, why would he be angry about that?
Now he knows you have a plan. Is that the problem?
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Hello, this is Beverly doing a check-in. I see that you were online looking at some homes in the Chatham area.
Oh yes, I was just looking.
So do you have future plans?
No, it was actually my mother-in-law was moving out there, so I was just looking at houses for her.
Okay. And is she actually moving? Is she in need of any help that we could assist with?
I'm not 100% sure at the moment. Is this the number that she can reach you at?
Absolutely. I work with Matt, so you would be calling Matt back. Yeah, we would just love the opportunity to earn her business and just kind of educate her in the market and see what she's looking for.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll definitely give her this number then.
Perfecto. And Sarah, would it be okay if we just follow up in about a week if we don't hear from anybody?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have a great day.
No problem. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ha!
Wasn't she super friendly? Hmm.
You do really well, Beverly, at selling penny stocks.
I could sell water to a drowning man because there's some reason why he would need it. I don't know, but I would come out with something. But and that's what I said. It's when you start treating people like, okay, mom's out there. She is looking for mom.
Mhm.
What the hell do they know about real estate, the market, and what they could possibly maybe make happen if they even want anything to happen? And really, all we need is that opportunity, right? We just need the opportunity to have the conversation to earn their business. That's it. And whoever says that in real estate, I just want the opportunity to earn your business. No, can I just show her a house? Do you want to go see this property? That's usually what they hear. I can't spell. How are you going to remember her? These two that I've talked to that you have to call back, or are you taking note?
I thought you were making notes and putting them in the CRM, are you not?
I am, but how are you going to find them? I'm not
Just
setting
tag them.
I'm going to tag BBC. Balanced Business Consulting. And what was the other lady's name that you have to, who's the one that had somebody in a car? Sherry?
Mhm.
Because she would have fallen, she would have fallen out of my folder.
You can use was last contacted by phone yesterday.
Oh, there you go.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll have moved to contacted. Oh, that is probably a wrong number. And these are exciting. So what I keep my eye on more than anything else is this number right here. I'm like, woohoo, we're down to 19 now. So I just like to look through the process of elimination, because if I pull this same list up tomorrow, I have less leads in my list to call. I'll tell you what, though, this is a great call session because I don't usually get this many people answering the phone. You got great leads. Well, you at least have leads that answer. Well, and I will say more people answer the phone in Canada than they do in the United States. And y'all are like way too nice too.
Hello?
I'll say
Fiona?
Hello?
Hi, Fiona?
You got the wrong number.
Oh, my apologies. You're not looking at homes in Chatham, are you, by chance?
Pardon me?
Are you looking at homes in Chatham by chance?
No.
All righty. You have a great day, Fiona. Sorry to bother you. So what do you think? Is it her? Is she lying?
I would just mark it as a bad number, because if she wants to go look at those listings, you'll see if she gives you the same number back.
Exactly. I do. I love
So what'd you do there? You tagged her as incorrect number, so now she needs to revalidate.
You mark the phone number, like she logged the call as wrong number, so it marks the phone number as being invalid. So she now has to validate a number in order to look at listings.
Got it.
And it automatically, so I'm down to 18. Woo. So it automatically pulls them out your call list, because my call list, I had phone number unknown or valid. So that way in your call list, you don't have to worry about calling people with bad phone numbers. And then you can just put them on a bad phone number campaign. But that's been what, at least 5 people that have answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use Matt's site every Wednesday. This is killer. I love it.
People in chat or wherever they are have nothing better to do.
Is that what it is?
You
Is
talk
your
to
phone-
anyone and everyone. No, I'm just
Is
kidding.
your phone ringing at all? Are you getting any callbacks?
I've gotten a few callbacks from, yeah, some leads, yeah.
Just
Like,
recently, since I've been dialing?
No,
Okay. So let's go back to you actually using your cell phone. When I jump in, I'm looking at efficiency. So if you notice, I'm like 23 seconds next, 23 seconds next. So
Hello?
Hannah,
Yes?
hello, this is Beverly. I'm just doing a quick check-in. I see that you were online looking at some homes in the Chatham area.
Yeah, it's not for this year.
Not next year?
Not for this year.
Yeah, that's what I said, for next year?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm just interested. I just look around to see what the market look like.
Absolutely. There's not much out there right now and the prices are really high.
Yes.
So are you in a rental, I'm assuming? Are you in a lease?
Pardon me?
Are you in a lease?
No. I have
No?
my own home.
Oh, okay. So you own a home.
It's just for investment.
Oh, you're looking for an investment property. Yeah,
Yes.
right now is probably not the best time.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good time right now. The price is too high. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you're going to be getting some emails from Matt. He'll keep you updated on what's happening with the market. And we'll just mark you that you're looking for an investment property. And if we have anything, we'll shoot it over to you. And if not, we'll just check back in with you next year and kind of see what your goals are. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank you.
Hannah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I usually never assume. And that's why you don't assume. Because she sounded young and I'm thinking she's in a rental. And no, she's an investor. Show your own difference. Because usually I'm like, do you own or do you
No.
rent? Yeah. So we can't ever try to make their story fit what we think. We really do have to ask those questions and keep that going. Luckily, it didn't screw it up at all. But now you know she's an investor. And was I truthful with her? Is it not a good time to invest?
Mm-hmm.
always a good time to invest.
Even if the prices are too high and it doesn't hit your ROI?
Prices aren't too high.
No? Well, if you find her something, zip it over to her.
Not in Chatham.
What's that?
Not in Chatham.
But your prices haven't increased this year with demand?
They have, but like for Toronto, a lot of these leads are like out of town, like Toronto, Kitchener area. So for them, it's still very affordable.
So it's cheaper because you're outside of the location that yet you have an area that's like my favorite places to work are outside of those areas where the prices are cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hannah's from London, so she's not from Toronto. So
Yeah.
she's but you still get people that are looking and they live in those smaller communities. Like for us, we're looking at like, wow, 400, 450, like that's amazing. But the people that live there are used to such lower prices. To them, that's high. They're like, no, that's the prices are high, right? So, for an investor going in, as long as there's the return, then absolutely, if they're coming from the Toronto and the GTA area, as long as, the rental, asking rental prices coincide to achieve that optimal, ROI for them. So,
Right.
but yeah, well, if you put it on hold to next year, there could be a variety of different reasons, right? Yeah. So she was adamant about next year. So it wasn't, it didn't even sound like, she just knew it was going to be next year sometime.
Yeah. And that's where when you agree with people like that and you kind of joke with them about the market, it's building that trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because they really don't need you because they have access to it, right? So it's really finding that commodity and building that trust to really let them know that, hey, I'm in your head. Like, I get it. It's not a good time to invest and you might want to wait till next year. But what I did is I saw all of your situation tags were blue, so I just made it blue. And so I added you an investor tag. And that's a great tag because they're not somebody that you always want to call, but if you find a good property, you can just pull up all your investors and just email it out and say, hey, this may be for you, it may not be for you, just wanted you to have it in your hands. And if you're bored and you want to look for an investment property, you have a reason to reach out to a group of people in your dashboard. I'm not a huge fan of working with investors, if you can tell. I used to have my investors, I would just have a template. I wrote so many contracts for my investors. I just have a template and we just change the address. It was the exact same contract, just change the address.
You have reached. Please leave your message after.
So going back to my original point of dialing or what we're doing here, 23 seconds next, 23 seconds next, where if you have hang time and you're making hundreds of calls and you're adding seconds, if my hang time in between the 23 seconds of the four phone rings is much longer than it is here, I can't be efficient and get all my dials done, which ends up knocking down the amount of conversations I'm able to have. Because our biggest excuse is we don't have time to call our leads. And this eliminates that piece, because as long as your filters are set up properly and you know when you open up your dashboard, these are the people I'm going to go in and call. I have a client that he's in Philadelphia and we work his dashboard 2 hours a day. I have his site open. I dialed his 6 new leads this morning that came in from yesterday. I got those knocked out. I had 8 tasks and I have 4 tasks left. Because what I do in between my phone calls, I go in, I hit a few here, I hit a few there, I hit a few there. So you don't have to sit down and poke out your eyeballs for an hour in front of your dashboard and dial. You can just jump in here, make 4 or 5 phone calls, jump back in later, make 4 or 5 phone calls. But when you're dialing with your phone, it takes a lot more time to make those 4 or 5 dials than it does to just whip through 5. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Who you are trying to reach is out of service.
And if nothing else, this is the most important reason why you call your leads. Is to Crystal's point, when you confirm as a bad phone number and you mark it in the system, when they go to log back in, it forces them to put a different number in or forces them to put another number in. Sometimes they put the same number. I've realized that. Crystal, this is a good time. I want to bring up international phone numbers. The easiest way to get them out of my list is to obviously mark them as the wrong phone number because we can't call them.
I mark them personally if I'm guiding somebody, and I'll create a filter for them as well. I'll opt the phone number out and tag them their situation as an international buyer, and then have a filter for anyone that has that tag, because it's really looking at their activity. Right. So a lot of international buyers will come in, they look at listings once, you never see them active again. But for the ones that you see, they come in and they're active and they're regularly active. Those are the ones that you're essentially going to want to pursue. Or if you have like a customized drip campaign with respect to, international buyers and what that looks like. It really depends on the area, but I have a client that actually thrives off international buyers because they're buying condos for their students, their kids that are going to university. So they buy the condo. They're coming from overseas and they have the money to do so. So he makes it, a lot of his deals are done from those international buyers. He's willing to pay and, have that long distance charge to reach out to them, and or he'll have them through communication through email to align it all.
That's such a great point, because when I mark it as a bad phone number, I feel bad because if they come back in, they're like, that is my damn phone number.
Yeah, it is my number, right? So that's why I mark it, because I'm like, this could very well be a valid phone number, but I don't know what numbers look like in Bangladesh. So, let's just, mark it as an opt out. And
you always know them because they start with a 0, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. So I'm like, that's the safest bet, as I find, is just mark it. Just mark it as unknown, tag them, and then create a filter for anyone with that tag. And you can even add an activity filter, right? So as long as they've been active in X amount of days, then it's, pursue the ones that are active, because they could very well be investors or planning a move.
Great tip. So we started with 20 something in the filter. We're down to 14. So based on conversations and based on bad phone numbers, we were able to eliminate people that we don't have to call again. And 2 people.
Hello?
Matthew.
Hi.
Hello, this is Beverly doing a check-in. I see that you were online looking at some homes in Chatham.
I was, yes.
And just wondering, do you have plans? What were you looking for?
I don't really have time to talk right now.
Okay.
I could talk with you a little later on. If you're able to call me maybe tomorrow at around 7-ish.
We can do that. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Matthew. We'll give you a holler back.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You sure his name is not James? James Bond?
I had that voice, right?
Oh man. Sometimes people with accents just sound that much more sophisticated because of their accent. You know? He's like, I'm a preschool teacher. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and you know, these people usually are pretty valid. But what happens is where we drop the ball is we don't call them back.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where not only does it help our confidence whenever we do what we say we're going to do, but it helps to add that value because we all know that internet leads will do business with anybody that makes it convenient for them. So if we can add value, we're going through and we're doing something that we say we're going to do. So even if you don't call him tomorrow at 7, you can at least shoot him a text message later in the day and say, hey, I know I was going to reach out to you at 7 o'clock. Is there a better time that we could talk? Whatever it may be is just communication. And if they don't respond, you can't help that, but it is what it is. And you know, you never know why somebody can't talk. That's why I didn't dig a little bit more, because sometimes I'll just go in and ask, well, do you plan on, was it worth us calling you back, basically?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, Crystal, I think his voice got me. I'm like, oh, you're like a legit dude.
Yeah. He sounds like he has important things on his desk.
Yes, he did. He was very surly. So we're literally going to have called through just about our entire list in less than an hour, plus all the talk time. This is easy peasy, Matt. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is easy.
Are you a believer now?
Yeah, I just wish I had like a nice Beverly voice. Like, hey, it's Beverly speaking. I'm probably gonna have to get you to call that guy back, that British guy back.
Just raise your pitch a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you want to be yourself because that's where you're most confident, is just being yourself, right? It's yeah, we can't pretend to be others.
I did a webinar the other day for a boot camp, and I had to go back.
Hello?
Hannah?
Yes.
Hello, this is Beverly. I'm just checking in with you. I see that you were online looking at some homes in the Chatham and Barre area.
I thought you just called me, did you?
I don't think so.
So who called me? I thought it's you. Or maybe somebody else.
Well, it did. If you've been on a couple of websites, it may have been somebody else. But just checking in. Do you have plans? What can we help you with?
No, I don't have any plan. I'm just interested. And now the price is too high.
Yeah.
I'm not really thinking of buying anything.
Okay. And what would be the reason for the move if you were to make a move?
Pardon me?
What would be the reason for the move if you were to make a move?
I think maybe I wait until next year to see the trend of the price going up or down.
Okay.
It's just for investment. I'm not in a rush.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder, the only thing that I can think of, if I did call you, Hannah, it's because you came into our website twice back to back. And I'm just going through everybody that registered.
Okay.
All right, my dear.
Yeah.
All right. You have a great afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So was it Hannah that
It was the same Hannah, yeah, because the email, so she registered twice, and because the one email, she
Yep.
used different email addresses is what she did.
Yep.
And as to why she came in as a duplicate.
Yep. So can you merge? You can't merge in here, right?
You can't merge them, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do, because this one isn't the good email, I would just mark it as duplicate and junk this one. Oh, I don't want to leave the note there because it'll call her back. So this is where I have a tag for duplicate. And then I know why she's junked. Garbage. And usually what happens in that instance is she may have logged in from her, like she may have registered on her phone or on a different computer. And then when she went to a different computer to look at a property, it forced her to put in a username and password and she didn't know it. And the cookies didn't remember her because it was a different computer. And then when she went to put in her email address, it forced her because it says she already had an account. So she had to. But again, another reason to call through your leads to recognize duplicates. And that happened to me this morning. I caught one that was a bad email address. It was GAIL, not Gmail. I tried to put the M in and it bounced back and it wouldn't let me put it in. I'm like, oh, she's a duplicate.
Yeah, that's usually how you find the duplicates is you try to make the obvious error, like edit, and then it won't allow you to save it because
exactly
it already exists, basically.
Yep. No, what I was saying before was I recorded a boot camp and I had said some things in there that I wanted to put into a PDF. So I had to go back and watch myself. And I'm like, oh my God, if anybody tied my hands, I would not be able to have a conversation. Because I was like, my hands are all over the place.
Yeah.
So yes, Matt, to your point, I'm somewhat animated. Yeah, we only have a few more to get through. I think this was probably one of the best. And you have what, 3 callbacks?
Yeah. 3.
I really don't think this.
Hello?
Hello, this is Beverly. I'm just doing a check-in with you. I see that you were online looking at some homes in Chatham.
Sorry, say again?
This is Beverly, and I am calling you because I saw that you were online looking at some homes in Chatham.
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't you? I can't sell you a house?
No, you know what? I've been getting a lot of these text messages. I think somebody who had this phone before me.
Yeah, okay.
I literally just registered this number about.
Oh no!
Since then, I've been getting text messages, realtors. When are you gonna call us back? Are you still looking at the houses in like this and this area?
Oh my gosh!
Temporary log in. They gave me his logins and stuff, and yeah. So
aren't you lucky? Okay, well, what I'll do, I'll remove your number from our site. We won't call you back, but if they're still out there using your number, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's been pretty much every other day somebody texts me.
Oh no, so it's just a process. Yeah, just explain it to people.
Yeah.
Well, you have a great day, and thank you so much.
No problem.
Bye-bye. How frustrating. Hey, Did you just realize she was there? What are you doing, Bonnie?
Yeah, that sucks. Like when people skip. Let's just give my old number to on all these sites and register on there.
Well, it could be where, you know, somebody just gave up that number and they just keep using it because they know they don't have that number anymore.
Yeah, but they know. Yeah, exactly. They remember the number and.
Mm-hmm. So Matt, what are your goals now on working your dashboard from here on out?
Clean it out, get to 0, and just continue like nurturing. I mean, so what would you say, like percentage wise, is like a good like to kind of,
Conversion rate?
yeah.
I don't even like to answer those questions because it's so antiquated in how you can manipulate those numbers. Because is it a conversion rate off of every lead that you've ever gotten from AgentLocator? Is it a conversion rate based off of the bad phone numbers that you eliminated? Is it from the leads that you got this month and the leads that you've got from the day that you started AgentLocator? There's really no way of conceptualizing it because my buyer agent's closing a lead today that was from, I did a buyer consultation 8 years ago. So how do you even quantify that as far as a conversion ratio? So I really like to rate my conversation ratio because the conversation is what is going to lead to the conversion. So if I know what my conversation ratio can be out of how many leads, and my mind is seriously like blown by how many people seriously answer the phone in the site. I can, this like made me so happy because I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I'm actually getting somewhere. And their short conversations move on. So it didn't even take, I mean, we literally got through, we have 3 leads left and we were in the 20s. I don't know what it was, but we made a lot of calls today. And the more that you can increase your conversations and be pipeline minded, because so easily when we see a lead and we have a dashboard, we're like, I need a settlement, I need a closing, I want money in the bank. We forget that they're just as good in December as they are today. Because what you were doing in January was 6 months ago. So in January, if someone said, call me in 6 months, I'm gonna be ready in July, August, there's your right now. So when we're calling leads, we have to be mindful of building that pipeline of future business because what you're doing today is where you're going to be in 60 to 90 days or in 6 to 9 months. And it takes a little while to build because most people that are Google searching are not right now. The only right nows that you get, and to your point, when you had mentioned about your biggest objection, we're just going to close this, I'll stop sharing. Your biggest objection is one of them has an agent. Well, there's no inventory and the buyers do not believe that the agent cannot procure them more properties. So they're out there looking for their agent because they don't believe them. So that's why we're getting have agent. So I always like to ask that question, what has your process been like? Is there anything that I could do to earn your business? Because we have access to off-market properties. Now, what do the off-market properties look like? Tell me what you're looking for and I'll go out and see if I can find a seller that's willing to sell before it actually hits the market.
And so that's it. That's if they're telling you that they're already working with an agent? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't care if they're working with another agent, unless they have something signed and it's like their best friend. I always ask that question because 90% of the time, these leads are doing the job for their agent, especially in this market because there's so few homes coming on and it gets so, it's more frustrating, I think, for the agents right now than it is for the buyers. Because you have a ready, willing, and able buyer, but yet you don't have that ability to sell them anything. And it's freaking frustrating. So you kind of tend to forget to pull properties every day to see what comes on the market to send it over to this person, because now you have this backlog of all these buyers that don't have anything to buy, and then they all get lost in the sauce. And that's why buyers are getting a little bit anxious, because some people literally, like, my house is under contract, I got to find a house, and my agent just like went AWOL. And this is the best time to build your pipeline, because you do have a lot of people giving up on the market right now. And the guarantee that I can tell you after training agents, those agents aren't ever following up with these people 4, 5, 6 months later, because they're taking care of what's right in front of them. So if you can engage with somebody right now, I have a lady that I've been courting since March. I just had a conversation with her today. Back in March, it was her daughter that was looking, that has a full-time job as a nurse and cannot really go see properties or even take phone calls while she's at work. And she works a lot of extra hours. So she's frustrated because by the time she gets off her shift work, or by the time anything happens, she can't get the property. So do you think that agent's going to stick around? Probably not. So I keep calling mom, hey, how's your daughter doing? She's like, same situation. I said, you know what? I'm just going to check back in a couple of months. Because when that market shifts, she's going to be able to have that time to get to that property, because it's not going to have as many multiple offers, and we're going to be the ones that are there.
Yeah.
So just shift that perspective of how you're looking at your leads, and just really build that pipeline, because your pipeline, if you have your whiteboard or you have anything that you're putting it on, that's your future business. And when you're doing your strategy plan for 2022, who's in that pipeline of people, like that investor that's next year? She's going to close with somebody. Why not be you?
Mm-hmm.
And phone calls are free. We just don't like to make them. Was there any, did anything pop up in the chat or anything? Crystal, any questions?
No, nothing. Everyone, let me just make sure there's nothing on Facebook, but everyone, nope.
Oh, great.
Quiet group today.
Thank you so much for allowing me to work your leads. Such an honor.
Hey, no, thank you. No, it's been great to watch. And I think the note that kind of my team needs to take is like be a little bit more persistent on the phones, and like kind of like, hey, what do we have to lose, right? You're just making a call, kind of getting a story. That's at the end of the day.
What it is. It's just getting their story.
Shooting the shit, and hopefully one day they convert.
Exactly. Just be real. You have a great personality.
Yeah.
So you'll have to keep me updated on these callbacks. Let me know what you get.
All right.
All right, Matt.
Perfect.
Thanks so much. Bye, Crystal.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Great day, guys.
Yes.
Goodbye.